Hello, welcome to Frank's School. I want to discuss pallets in general as a building material, but building with whole pallets. And this is the 7th in a playlist in a series which is going to be long. There are going to be many of them. And if you'll look at the link given in the description below, it'll take you to the playlist. So this is going to be a very long series called Building Folk Cuts with Pallets, I think is what I'm calling it. In any case, I build with whole pallets whenever possible, and that's what I recommend as well. Sawing them, and I should have written this in here. To saw a pallet or to dismantle a pallet, it's hard to do. As a matter of fact, sawing a pallet is even dangerous because you're sawing something that's supported on both ends, and it tends to grab your saw. There's ways around it. I'll give you suggestions eventually because we will have to saw some pallets. Of the 70 or so pallets that it'll take to build one folk hut, probably about 10 of them, I'll say 10 of them are going to have to be sawn. And I'll show you how to do that. So whenever possible, you do not saw it. I'm not talking about building with pallet wood. I'm building with pallets, whole pallets. Dismantling them, can be done. But it's so hard to do because they use specialized nails, usually spiral shank nails, when they put them together. They are not built in order to be dismantled. It can be done. There are various kinds of pallets, and what I'm going to use in this series, or what I'm using in this series, are called GMA pallets. Oh, and I still have never bought a pallet yet. I think an average pallet at the manufacturer, if you buy in quantity, is going to be about $8 to $10. I've never bought one because they're on their way they've been used and used till they can't be used anymore. They're on their way to landfill or to be ground up for mulch. Well, anyway, a GMA pallet, these are the ones that you're most likely to find. They're 48 by 40 inches. And when you name a pallet, you name the length of the stringers first, and then I'd like to say the longer one, but anyway, 48 by 40, and there's a notch in them where the forklift goes in. Oh, and another thing, pallets are not the same as skids. I'm talking about pallets. Skids don't have a bottom decking. But a pallet has a decking on top and a decking on the bottom. Well, anyway, the sizes, there's 48 inches square, I've seen. There's 48 by 42. They're usable in what I'm going to do, and I'll show you 48 by 45. Here and there, you can use them as well, and even those, as long as that is 48. 48 square, a few of them could be used, I suppose, but I'm going to just stick to these. And there are even 30-inch square pallets. I've got lots of them which work for fencing. All right, the stringers. Those are or joists, you might call them. Those are they're about 3.5 inches high, about 1.25 inches or so thick. And then there's slats. The slats are 1/2 inch, and they make up the decking. There's a top deck and a bottom deck. The notch is cut toward the bottom. And when you lay the pallets on what I described before, you lay the top deck up. When you build the walls of these folk huts, you put the top deck out. That's where there are the more slats. Sometimes pallets have wings, where here's the stringer, and the slat goes out past the stringer. I would avoid them. If that's all you can get, I would saw them off. That would not be so hard to do. And then there's the matter of sometimes they're oak, sometimes they're pine. You'll notice as soon as you pick them up what a difference it is. You can use either. If you've got a selection, I use the oak for the floor and the first walls, and as I go up, I then go to pine because it's easier to lift and carries less weight as well. Well, as ever, I'm being a little fast, but I do want to show you Audrey's drawing. Audrey is working on a folk hut currently in the woods, a remote one with Matthew. And now this isn't, I'm moving it so it can at some point be in a place where you can see it well. Faux cuts are actually slightly bigger than that, and there are some things that she doesn't have quite right, but she certainly captured the idea. All right, bye for now.